Luc Bouchard with Solve Act Life Coaching Services. I've been a certified life skills coach for 22 years and I specialize in men's issues and what keeps men stuck. Welcome. Today is our interview day and I'm here with Mark Kozub, who has agreed to join me.
I have indeed.
That's right. Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we start these interviews by just basically asking my guests to talk about what their occupation is and what they do for work. So if you would care to share that.
Yeah, I've been a freelance writer for about a little over 2 decades now, actually.
Okay.
So a lot of professional writing, website copy and that sort of thing. But I also do a lot of creative work as well. As I was telling you, the 2 projects I'm working on right now, I've got 2 books that are due by the end of the year that I just started working on. So it's going to be a very busy year for me.
2 books.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing one, let alone
I know. Yeah, it's going to mean a lot of. For one of them, I have to interview 80 people.
Wow.
Not as an 18, but 80,
right?
80.
So 80.
Yeah, and it's going to be out of town, so it's going to be tricky. It's going to be
Okay.
very intensive.
Do we have the titles yet, so people can keep in?
The one title will be Weird Edmonton. That's about weird things in Edmonton. And then there's another one I don't have a title for. It's going to be a centennial book for the city of Grand Prairie. They'll be coming out next year. So
Okay.
Actually, they both come out, I think, early next year. So
Right on.
yeah.
What is it about writing that you like?
I think what I really enjoy, actually, speaking of the 80 interviews, I love meeting people.
Okay.
And I love finding out about life through talking to other people. And then from there, I think I like distilling that in a way that's very readable and that makes sense. And I mean, I also, I write, poetry and prose, largely unpublishable stuff that I just find really fun and great.
Right.
And I think what I really like about that is I just love creativity.
Okay.
And I swear it feels like little fireworks happening in my mind. And I can get that on more, serious kind of, projects as well that are maybe not as overtly creative. I still get that same firework sensation.
Right.
I don't know, yeah, it's something I started writing when I was a kid, and I realized I love this, and it's never halted in my life. It's just always there.
So you're living actually your passion.
I am living my passion, yeah.
Something I talk a lot about is being authentic and being true to self and whatnot. And so do you feel that as a writer you're authentic and you're able to be who you are?
Yeah, I do actually. Okay. And I mean, not on every project. There's the odd project that comes by that I think, this isn't really totally me. It's something I'm doing for money. But largely speaking, yeah, I do feel like I'm living my passion, and if anything, I really have a great sense of gratitude about that. I mean,
I guess, because how many people do you know hate their lives, hate their
it's
occupation?
It's very true. Yeah.
So it's nice to hear other people that actually are living their passion and what they enjoy, and quite a bit. And life's too short.
It is. Yeah, I know. I fully agree that it is.
Right. So Mark is actually a client of mine, and we've been working together for just over a month. And he's agreed to actually say that he does come see me, and I appreciate that. And you actually have experience with men's groups, and it's the Mankind Project.
Mankind Project, yes.
So for the audience who doesn't know anything about Mankind, would you care to talk about that? And
yeah, I mean, I guess I could talk about what my experience has been with it. I years ago just realized, I think it's been kind of an ongoing issue of realizing I don't really fully know what it means to be a man. And particularly, in context of relationships, in context of work, all that whole, where else are you going to, find out about what it means to be a man? And I think because I always had not really the best relationships with other men. Right. And it always felt like sort of combative and sort of like the world was telling me I had to be a certain kind of man, and I just often felt like I'm not that man, and I don't want to be that man. And so I felt like I really needed more positive male role models. Not that my father certainly, hasn't been a positive male role model, but I just haven't had enough of them, I guess. So for me, the greatest thing about the Mankind Project is within it there are groups called I groups, and we meet every 2 weeks. It's usually it's developed a pretty much stable core of about 8 to 10 guys who sit in a room and really are able to really go deep with our feelings, talk about intimacy, talk about are we living lives where our behaviors and beliefs are congruent, and these sorts of things. And it's just incredible work.
What is that like, holding space with other men who are being honest? Was that hard to begin with?
No, I was in that place where I was craving it, so
Okay.
I was utterly.
So you were there.
I was there. I think I
Okay.
was there, and it gave me the confidence to realize that I was on the right track, and that there are other men like that. And that really wasn't so much of my previous experience.
Right.
And I think too, through iGroup, I realized in order to get that experience with other men, I have to sort of set the stage. I think in the past, certainly I think of male friends and colleagues where, we had a good bond and that sort of thing generally, but I wasn't as willing to sort of go deep on various topics because honestly I was probably kind of wimpy. And afraid. I was afraid. I just thought, well, I don't know. I don't want to force it, and who knows how this is going to go, and I'll seem like a weirdo. And
Right.
And
Well, no one else is doing it, so how do you know how to do it?
yeah, exactly.
No one's modeling it, so how do you do that, and what's going to be accepted, and what are you not going to be ostracized for?
Exactly.
If you're breaking the status quo.
Yeah, very true.
It's confusing.
Well, certainly I was raised in a farming community just I guess south of Edmonton, Ellerslie, which is no longer a farming community now, just a bunch of suburbs, I guess. But the world I grew up in when I was young, if you talked about feelings more as a young man or whatever, it was just the obvious. That seems pretty homosexual,
right?
And it's just like, oh, come on. And it's interesting that I think I realized. I'm not saying that gave me hang-ups, but it didn't exactly give me a lot of self-confidence.
Right. Or license to just be yourself. And
exactly. Oh yeah. And then I found very often when I went out into the working world after that, I won't name names. I won't name places, but I remember I was working at a radio station because I used to work in radio as an advertising copywriter and voice talent and this sort of thing, and worked in a radio station where the boss happened to be homosexual actually, and his gay lover worked at the station, and I had a pretty good bond with his gay lover, and considered the guy to be a good friend. But it was amazing the level of homophobia in that workplace, because if I ever if he and I ever went to lunch or whatever, it'd be seen as like, oh my god. And I actually had a person that I worked with say to me, I just love this. So Mark, how do you know that someday you're not just going to want to turn one of these lunches into something more? I said, because I know. And then the comment seriously was, seriously, no, I want to know, how do you know you're not going to wake up one morning and find out you're gay? And my comment was, I don't think it works that way. I mean,
no kidding.
It kind of it was an awareness thing to me that it wasn't just the small town farming community kind of environment. Right. It's just out there, period, that prevalent kind of attitude.
Well, and that comment really speaks to about a person's uncomfort with homosexuals.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And not knowing how to be around them. And where does that question come from? That question comes from that unknowing within themselves. So they're imparting it upon you.
Yeah.
They're basically going, so that person didn't know whether or not he was unresolved with that, because he probably had never spent any time with any gay individuals.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And it's like, so I don't, does it rub off? Is it contagious?
Yes.
Like your heterosexualness is in that easily to be in question. Like all of a sudden it's going to be, you're not that certain whether or not you're going to want us to start doing guys all of a sudden versus doing women.
Exactly.
It's very curious. And in some ways it was interesting that he had the ability to even ask that question. That was
yeah, I agree.
Really,
I agree.
But it just, if he was wondering it, how many other guys were wondering it?
Yeah, that's very true, actually. And I think that for me, the great thing that I learned through the Mankind Project and iGroups is a lot of it is about finding sacred masculinity and the I guess to some degree the part of you that's the leader within and all that, and I kind of over the course of I think it's been the last 3 years I've been involved in Mankind, what I've really realized is I'm able to get in touch with my inner leader when I shut off those voices of what the cartoon image of the John Wayne man, you know, would be, and that sort of thing, and listen more to the inner leader within me is the sort of man who speaks up, just speaks my mind and lives my truth, and I'm an authentic person. And it's really felt good to realize that, wow, I feel like I have a lot less baggage in life just being able to, I guess, speak my mind and speak my truth and actually own it and speak it more.
And be authentic as to who you are.
Yeah, and actually to do so with other men was really liberating for me, because I had an easier time doing that with women, but with other men I just thought, now I'm going to get shot down in flames if I do that. Somebody
once said to me, you want to take a risk? Tell a man how you feel. It's easy to tell a woman how you feel.
Right.
They want to hear it. They just can't. They want you to open up. But really, tell a man how you feel? And see, you know, that's a risk. So so the other guys in the Mankind Project, do you find that there's a certain amount of readiness that they come to it, that they are looking for more?
For the most part.
Okay.
There have been some men who've come, and you might see them 1 week, and then you don't see them again for another year.
Right.
Because they're just, I think honestly to them it was like, whoa, I'm checking this out, but I was freaked out by it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't deal with it. And it's really neat to see some of those cases where they do come around a year later and go, I just wasn't in that place, but now I can accept this.
If you could guess what that freaked out thing is, what would you think it would be?
I think sometimes, actually in some cases, it's men who probably have some sort of problem that they're grappling with, something that they view as a problem or a flaw that they're just not able to own up to. You know, all of us have, like, for instance, like a bit of a shadow self, right? And, you know, things about us that we just don't like very much. And to be in a room where that's more freely talked about can really be very intimidating. And I think, I know for me, I mean, I still find it intimidating, but I think for men like that, it's usually that I think at some point they just realize, oh, life's too painful if I'm not dealing with this.
Yes.
So then they eventually do come back, and it's really great to see, actually.
The that really speaks to that shadow side, or that stuff is really, for me, what I described about shame and that embarrassment and that stuff that we dislike about ourselves. There's certain things that we can accept, and there's certain things that we really feel not okay with. And the more we're not okay with something, the more we need to protect it. And the more we need to posture around it and put this pretense that everything's on that. And that's a real main mode of operation for men, and that is a good offense or a good defense is a good offense.
Right.
So I'm just gonna get out there and show nothing's on me, and be Teflon.
Yeah, I just find, I know for me, I found that kind of thing really exhausting. Like that to me, I think, is the thing that brought me to Mankind, was realizing I can't keep doing this. Yeah. This is going to kill me. To not accept my so-called weaknesses or vulnerabilities or whatever, is just, I can't. The more I put that thicker shell around me, I'm dying inside.
Absolutely.
It's a killer. So,
and I know a lot of men that are going to be listening to this video that's going to resonate greatly with them, because if it's the one thing I realized with my own experience as a man and my maleness is that if I'm experiencing it and if I'm feeling it, likely most other men are feeling it.
Right.
Once I actually accepted the fact that I'm really not that unique in many ways about my feelings and my emotions, because part of the things that we get into as men is thinking that our experience is indicative to ourselves, and that's just ego. Like, really? All the men on the planet, we're the only ones going through this? No.
Yeah.
So once I embraced that it's not really my own experience, it's an experience of all men, then it actually lowered my expectation of having to deal with it, and I felt a bit better with it.